Hi, how's it going? My name is Ross Cranwell. I'm the co-founder of Milk Video, and I'm here to present today on the different ways to repurpose your webinar. So we're going to jump straight into it. This is my first time using StreamYard, so please be patient. So yeah, I am going to present to you now. So yeah, today we're going to go through 10 ways in which you can repurpose your webinar. My background, I'm from Ireland, based in Brooklyn, but I have 15 years of experience working in marketing in China and the US for over 15 years. I co-founded Milk Video at the end of late 2020 with my co-founder, Lenny Bogdanov. So we're really excited today to kind of give you a little bit of an insight into Milk, but also ways in which you can kind of repurpose your content with or without Milk. So yeah, the business was created to turn webinars into video highlights. There are also a lot of other kind of use cases. I'm going to take 1 or 2 minutes just to quickly run you through how Milk works, and then I'm going to go through the 10 different examples of how to extract value from your content. So with Milk, you can take a video recording and immediately have it transcribed. So this is like a free option. As soon as you have a video of any sort, you can add it into Milk, and then it's instantly transcribed. And the quality is really good. It's about 95-96% accuracy. And then you can highlight kind of key moments that are interesting to you. So extracting value from the webinar, and you can create those clips in a matter of seconds. So you're going through a really good piece of content that you've created, and you're extracting more value. You're milking the content. And so instantly you have a couple of clips and that you can use. You can also, captions are often very important. So you can also update the content to make sure that the captions are accurate. And then once you have your sections that have been clipped, then you can go and add those clips to a design canvas. So these are the 2 clips that I just created, and I'm just adding them into a design canvas here. I can repurpose them like so, and then I add in the transcript, the captions. And this can be designed however you feel is appropriate for your brand. And so here you can't see the text, so I have to change the color right here, the things like so, and then I can play. So instantly you have something that you can save and share out as a video clip for use on social media, for your email outreach, and so on. We'll dive a little bit deeper into that as we go through the presentation itself. Any questions are more than welcome. Cool. So why repurpose? Why repurpose your content? So what's the ROI on repurposing, right? So the concept is that you've already created a really valuable asset. You've spent so much time preparing your webinar. You've brought in a guest. You brought in multiple guests. And then once the webinar is finished, it's very hard to get any value out of that. Some people create blog posts and things like that, but often it's left behind a Google in a Google Drive, or it's put on a landing page and then no one sees it. So what we're talking about here today is to take that content and create some bonus visibility, bonus leads, bonus sales. Everything you create after you've done that webinar is bonus, right? And there's a lot of things you can do. The problem is it can still be time consuming to be able to create additional assets. And so people tend to move on to the next webinar or to the next piece of content. Why not spend a little bit more time diving deep into the amazing video you've already created and try and quickly turn that into something. So today I'm going to focus on content you can repurpose, preferably that is easy for you to do, right? So the most common use case is people take a recording after the webinar and they post it. This is good, right? So you should at least be doing this. You can create on-demand leads. You can post it. You can, embed video on a landing page. That's the most common use case. People put it behind a wall. You can use something like Wistia to make sure that you're measuring the traction. You can put a call to action through there, Vimeo, YouTube, whatever it is you want to embed. There's no harm in doing that. Most people want to cut out the start and the finish. Make sure that it's consistent, and then you can publish on your website, or you can publish it directly on YouTube and Vimeo. Share it in your email after the webinar. The good side is it's easy to do. The downside, no one's going to watch it. Okay, so that's the reality. People ask for recordings. People say, I'd love to see it. I didn't attend, which will happen after this webinar, but they're not going to sit through the full recording. That's the reality. But you should at least do this. You can get a couple of leads through this. So what is a better case scenario? Better is to take the best moments and clip them. Yes, this is a bit of a plug for Milk, but it is true, right? This is the reason why we built the business. You can take a key moment. So here on the right, you see this visual from a company called Go1 who uses Milk to take out the best moments, where in this case, a CEO is talking about the last 12 months, learning and development in the last 12 months. And it's a 2-minute clip, but it gets to a key point. You can share this on social media. You can share this with the email follow-up as soon as the webinar is done. Send a clip to your most prominent leads, your most prominent prospects, or even clients, to show them what they're missing out on and to share a key moment. How do you do it? We just showed you there a second ago that you can upload your videos to Milk and create a clip through that. That is the easiest way to create something like this with captions. And why are captions important? Captions are important because when you're sharing on social media and other aspects, most people have their audio turned off, so it catches the eye. A video without any captions often can be overlooked. And even if you're sending it in email outreach, the text and the words can kind of catch the eye of your audience. So where to publish? Social media, like I mentioned, LinkedIn for business is the most common use case. Twitter is good, YouTube is good, but LinkedIn if you're targeting business audiences. And then add to email cadences. So whether it's your nurture for your marketing automation or for your sales outreach, and then you can just add them into a resources page. I think that's a very simple thing. If you have a blog post, yes, and then also like a webinar resources page. So very quick, easy wins with this content. And remember, it's not just one video clip that you're creating. It could be multiple video clips. Another really easy thing to do is to pull the transcript of the webinar. Right? I showed you how that works on Milk. Some people actually listen to the webinar after the recording and actually dictate it. I mean, that's way too much time spent. You can get a transcript within a couple of minutes. And the easiest thing you can do is to just touch it up, turn it into a Q&A. Like basically, it's the words of the actual video itself. So you don't have to kind of create a narrative around it, just like the flow of the webinar. And this can be posted underneath the on-demand webinar, in your YouTube description, or as an article itself. So really quick to do. This is probably one of the fastest things you can do alongside creating the original on-demand posting. Then there's a blog post, right? So if this one is really simple to do and just as kind of like the transcript of the webinar itself, a blog post kind of creates more of a narrative. So here you need a little bit more work. I mean, in this case, again, it's great for SEO, great for leads, but creating a blog post can be time consuming. So while Milk can do the transcription, you may need to find either have an internal content marketing manager or an external one, or we've started using a service called Contentfly, which is brilliant. Basically, you can send them your content, and then they use their team of copywriters to turn it around in a really fast time. So, and they pay, you charge on a subscription basis, and basically, if you don't have anyone in-house or you don't have the resources right now, you can use a service like that. I highly recommend it. And where do you publish your blog post? Of course, on the blog, and you can send it out directly through your email to engage your audience and so on. So yeah, so it's a good one, but you need to have the copywriting resources to turn and to pull a narrative from these webinars. Then audio, right? So you have a video file. What can you do with audio? You can strip the audio and use that for something like a podcast, right? So basically, if we have this recording right now, I can just take this audio, download it. There's tools online where you can extract the audio from the video and share it on sites like SoundCloud or whatever. It's not a professional podcast necessarily, but it's audio that people are interested in kind of listening to. If you see these two examples on the right, one is from The Economist. That's where they share their audio, and then on the bottom right is one that I shared, and it's actually a clip. It's not a full podcast, and it is a 2-second long clip, and it has nearly 10,000 views. A 2-second long clip. And all it is the pronunciation of a word in Chinese. So it shows you kind of like, I could have not done that, and I could have not got 10,000 views, but it was just so simple that I did it. There's no reason not to. SoundCloud is one example. There are plenty of other platforms where you can post it. But if you're just looking, if you're not trying to make it too professional, and this is really really good option. Continuing on the audio front. The other option is an audiogram. So what's that? It's like a video clip, but it's more, it's just audio. There's no video visuals. So in this case, on the right here, you can see an organization, the operators organization that has taken an interview, a podcast interview, and clipped out one piece and turned it into just this word by word audio. And what's interesting here is like podcasts, don't visually capture your attention, but with this, you're reading through the words. It's very engaging, and this one got 23,000 views, right? So think about the value there, right? The podcast, we're not sure how many views it got, but 23,000 views for a 1-minute clip is pretty impressive. Why wouldn't you extract it? Why wouldn't you pull that out? And this can give you visibility, and this can also help drive leads. It's like a trailer for the actual podcast or a recap of the podcast. This can be shared on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, depending on your audience. All are very all work really well. Then images. So if we're moving from audio then to images, often there's amazing quotes, amazing moments within a presentation, a webinar. Why not extract those? Like, this is very simple. Extract the quote like you see here on the right. Have the person who mentioned who had the quote, and then kind of add your branding. You can do this in something like Canva right now within a couple of minutes, but most people don't take that extra effort. And that can help you kind of re-engage with the speaker, get them to share it out, get you some brand visibility. And kind of just like another opportunity to spread your brand, post on LinkedIn, Pinterest, Imager, whatever it may be. The other one in this case, right, in this presentation here, I'm using slides. So what I can do after this is post these slides to SlideShare, right? Why wouldn't I? Right? There's no harm. And so you can get visibility outside of your classic platforms with something like this. Right, so this slides that I've created are another asset we can use. On the right here, you can see this was a webinar I did with a company called Imagine Easy, and we turned multiple quotes from a webinar into a series of posts, and basically this one got 20,000 views. This was already existing content. We kind of add some design. We had a designer in-house. Maybe you could use Canva again, and quickly turn it around into a nice visual. Or if you already have the slides like I do, I'm just going to post it up. You can also take some of these slides, like if I have 10 slides here, I can post them as a carousel within LinkedIn. And just to mention, as I go through this, at the end, I'm going to have our own Q&A. So I see some questions popping up. So I will answer those at the end. The other option speaking of which, we do have a couple of questions coming in through this event. People are asking about repurposing. Whatever people are asking is probably the biggest pain point. And if that's a big pain point of people, then you can turn that into a post. That's what people are searching for. So if someone asks me, how to repurpose audio, for example. Okay, so that seems to be a topic that is of interest. That is really something that I didn't cover in full depth. Maybe it's something we want to dive into. We can create a short post around it as a blog, very specific, because people when they're looking for stuff on Google and whatever, they're looking to answer questions. And so look at your Q&As and then identify which of those might actually be worth creating as very short posts. They don't have to be in depth. And again, this is an SEO high value option, very quick to do. Finally, and I'm running through these quite quick. I see it's only 17 minutes past, but I can dive into any questions if you have any. I'll dig in. But the final option is to do something like an ebook. Now, this is a bit more dense. This is not something you're going to create instantly, right? So I've talked a lot about things that you can do very fast that can be done within a few minutes or a few hours. An ebook is something that could take more time. But if you have a really deep webinar which has a ton of content about a specific topic, again, give it to a copywriter or content fly and get them to create a more in-depth piece of content. The value here compared to a blog is obviously you can capture leads around it, and you can really create some really nice positioning and have that as a lead magnet. So this is predominantly going to be posted on your website. You can use it for your advertising, for LinkedIn lead gen forms and things like that. Again, this is a little bit, takes a bit of work and may be a culmination of multiple webinars, but it is a very good kind of tactic. Let me see what else. Yeah, so those are the core things, and I'm happy to go through any of those that kind of resonated that I want to dive deeper into. I'll answer the questions that have come in so far. For Milk, if anyone is interested in diving into the platform, I'm happy to do a one-on-one. We're giving this week some free designs. It's very important to have a nice visual component to your video clips. So anyone who wants a customized design for their business, we can do that if you sign up this week. But let me go back then to the questions. Super. Okay. We don't actually have any specific questions right now, but okay. So we have one from Ashrath. How long does it take to create a video using Milk? So it can be as quick as a matter of minutes. So basically, you upload the video, it transcribes in a couple of minutes, depending on the length, and then you select the section, and then you do a little bit of design. It depends on how much design you want to do, but it can be as fast as 5 minutes. If you want to add extra, kind of deep into the design, it can take up to 20 minutes. But the speed at which you can do it is compared to using multiple products, using a transcription product, a Adobe product, or whatever it may be. The speed is really is much faster than the other options. So Barry asked a question about recommendations on lead gen activities for a Shopify agency. So lead gen activity. So a couple of things that I mentioned there, just around kind of capturing leads, like lead magnets, right? So we talked about ebooks, white papers, data reports, whatever asset is most valuable to your clients, right? So if it's a Shopify agency, right? So if companies are looking to Shopify, I don't fully know your business, but if Shopify sellers are trying to look to market their business and drive more revenue, what kind of asset can you create for them? What kind of intel can you create that they would be interested in learning, right? So it could be a webinar like this. It could be a data report on the best practices for driving revenue through Shopify. Data reports work really well. Ebooks work well, but most people don't read them. White papers also work well, but you also want something that people engage with. So visual reports, engaging webinars or roundtables, things like that work great. So yeah, let me know if there's any other questions. Happy to dive into anything else. But yeah, I think that kind of wraps up everything. I kind of get oh, Fiona, great. A couple of questions before I log off. In your experience, from Fiona, in your experience, is there any optimal number of post emails to send out after a webinar? I'm sometimes conscious of fatigue on a certain topic. Yes, I don't know about optimal, but take this webinar for instance. We've been sending a number of emails to promote it, and then you don't want to overdo the webinars, the emails after the webinar, but certainly one as quickly as you can within 24 hours to follow up. I'm going to try and do that, and with preferably a clip from the video or any other assets, the slides. That's an easy one to share out. But I think in a lot of instances for B2B, the goal is to book a meeting. So what we've done for B2B companies before is maybe send out 24 hours afterwards, then one out maybe another 3 days later, and then one final one. So a cadence of 3, I would suggest, is kind of the max. You don't want to overdo it. But the first one is the crucial one, right? Because people will be interested in that first one, right? If they missed it, only on average 40% of people actually attend an event. So then people will want the recording or the clips, like I mentioned. So that first one is key. And speed is key. So making sure that anyone who attends here, like yourself, that we send you content that is top of mind, because you're going to be quickly moving on to the next thing, right? On to the next webinar, article, job, life, things like that. So thanks. That's a great question. And then Barry has one other question here about companies who are doing this well for lead gen. I'm trying to think if of any companies that come top of mind. Nothing kind of stands out for me right now, but a lot of the B2B companies like Gong and Drift, HubSpot. I mean, honestly, they're the leader in inbound marketing, and they have a ton of things, like from subscribing to their blog posts to downloading different assets. So you read your article about Shopify techniques, and then at the bottom there's the data report and so on. So yeah, HubSpot might be a good starting point, I would say, around that. They have some nice techniques. Any of those leaders in the space. Anything else before we clock out? As I said, in light of what I'm trying to talk about, I'll be sharing out in these resources. Would love to know what people find most compelling. If there's something out of those 10 that's like absolutely brilliant. I think the biggest challenge people have is finding the time to do this stuff. So start small, do with the transcript. Then if you start getting confident, start seeing results, then do the video and the audio. Don't do the ebook first. That's a little bit too much. But utilize your resources in-house or external resources or tools to be able to turn this around, because there's a lot of things you can do. So if you think about it, the last point I'll make is you spent so much time doing this webinar. Why not use that for other kind of marketing and sales, instead of spending all your time on a next webinar, when ultimately the goals are the same: awareness, leads, and revenue, and so on. So listen, thanks a million for listening in. Would love any kind of feedback, any things you'd like to learn in the future, and yeah, I really appreciate you jumping in. So take care and have a good day or evening wherever you are.